You ever have one of those mornings where you just know something ridiculous is about to go down? That's exactly how it felt sitting on my dad's porch that Tuesday. Sky was clear, coffee was hot, and then just like clockwork, here come the police cruisers rolling down the street, slow and official lights off, but energy tense, you know. 2 officers step out, hands casually hooked on their belts, and who's strutting behind them? But Karen Whitfield, arms folded, chin out, wearing this self-satisfied look like she just won the lottery and couldn't wait to cash it in on someone else's misery. I swear, if you've ever had a neighbor who seems to treat the HOA bylaws like scripture, you know the type. Karen points at my dad like she's on some daytime court show making this grand gesture. "Officers, thank goodness you're here," she says, milking every word. "This man's been squatting here for weeks. I have all the evidence." She's waving this thick folder like she's prosecuting a murder. Now my dad, he doesn't even flinch, just sets his coffee down, stands up with this slow, deliberate calm he's honed over 72 years and walks inside. He comes back with his old leather briefcase, the same one he used for decades as a real estate attorney, and starts unpacking documents right there on the porch in full view of everyone. First his deed, then some papers that honestly could stop a train. And that's when Karen's whole act starts to wobble. He pulls out the original HOA founding documents from back in '78, his own signature at the bottom, first president of the Maple Ridge HOA. Officer Martinez glances over at Karen and asks, "Ma'am, you sure you want to go through with this complaint?" Suddenly, Karen's got the color of skim milk, and you could almost see the moment it hit her. She's just accused the man who built this neighborhood of trespassing on his own property. Let me back up a sec, because it wasn't always this dramatic. Karen Whitfield had rolled into the neighborhood just 2 years before new money with a taste for control, and managed to get herself elected HOA president 3 months back. She ran on a zero-tolerance campaign, which in practice meant she policed every lawn, every garbage can, every mailbox flag like she was the warden of some suburban penitentiary. I'm not kidding, she'd patrol in her silver Honda clipboard at the ready, looking for violations like she was racking up points in a video game. Folks started calling her the lawn sheriff behind her back. My dad. He was just trying to mind his business, grieving after my mom passed, wanting to move back into the home he built in '76, the place where he raised his kids, hoping for a little peace. But to Karen, he was just some unfamiliar old guy who appeared out of nowhere. So she starts her surveillance. Parked her car across the street, made notes on his comings and goings, even walked her yappy little dog past the house 6 times a day, always slowing down to peer through the window. The neighbors noticed, too, they'd share stories about her antics, like the time she fined the Johnsons for leaving their garbage cans out 23 minutes too long, or cited the Garcias because their grass was a 1/4 inch over regulation height. It was like living in a sitcom, except no one was laughing. The real showdown happened one sunny Saturday. Dad's pruning his rose bushes, humming a little, and here comes Karen Folder, clutched like it's the nuclear football. She demands to see his lease, his ID, whatever. Using that tone, part police chief, part school principal. My dad, who's handled difficult clients for 40 years, just looks up and says, "I don't believe that's any of your business, Miss Whitfield." You could see the steam rise off her. She starts ranting about her authority, how the HOA president is responsible for everything that goes on in this community, and when Dad ignores her and gets back to his roses, she huffs off, threatening to call the cops. Of course she does. Calls 911 that night, reports a suspicious older man trespassing in an unoccupied residence. You gotta admire the commitment. The cops show up, spot my dad sipping his coffee, and you can see they're already suspicious of her, not him. Karen launches into this speech about community safety and property values, but the officers just want the facts. Dad hands them his deed property records, even tax statements. You'd think that had ended, but not with Karen. She accuses him of forgery right to their faces and demands they arrest him. And that's when Dad opens his briefcase and lays out the HOA charter, drafted by him, signed by him. First board meeting. Minutes all neatly typed up, complete with signatures from people who've long since moved away. Now it's the officer's turn to look at Karen like she's lost her mind. Martinez radios the county to verify everything while his partner takes notes. Karen just keeps digging the hole deeper, shrieking about elaborate forgeries and dangerous squatters. When the call comes back confirming every document is real, you can feel the shift. The officers aren't buying what Karen's selling anymore. She gets pulled aside, but her voice carries all over the lawn as she tries to explain how she just knew something illegal was going on, admitting on their body cams that she never saw any actual evidence. Just didn't like that an old man she didn't recognize was living in her neighborhood. That's when Officer Martinez lays it out for her filing a false police report. Is a crime misuse of emergency services is a crime, and by the way, stalking someone's house isn't exactly neighborly either. Karen blows up, demands to speak to his supervisor, insists there's some conspiracy, but by then the jig is up. Within 2 days, she's facing charges, false report harassment, even trespass for snooping around my dad's yard all those times. News spreads through Maple Ridge like wildfire. Ring camera footage starts popping up on the neighborhood Facebook group showing Karen lurking around driveways, taking photos, measuring grass. The HOA calls an emergency meeting. Neighbors finally feel safe enough to speak up. Turns out pretty much everyone had a story about Karen's brand of community leadership. The vote to remove her is unanimous, and a couple folks actually apologized to my dad for not saying something sooner. The best part: the guy Karen tried to have arrested ends up getting drafted as an honorary advisor to the very board he founded all those years ago. Karen's humiliation wasn't just local either. Word gets out in the real estate world her own brokerage drops her before the week is out, not wanting to deal with the PR mess. She puts her house up for sale, slinks out of the neighborhood before her court date. Meanwhile, my dad just goes back to his morning porch routine like none of it ever happened. No gloating, no, I told you so, just that same steady presence he's always been. But get this, the kicker comes when the HOA's old-timers start cleaning out the archives and stumble on Karen's original membership application. Turns out she'd applied back in 2019, and guess who chaired the committee that rejected her the first time? Yep, my dad. The same man she tried to evict from his own home. Life really does have a sense of humor, huh? In the end, Karen pleads guilty, gets 90 days in county lockup, 2 years probation, and has to pay out $1,500 in fines. As the judge read the sentence, she looked like she'd just realized she wasn't the main character in this story anymore. And honestly, standing there with the whole neighborhood watching justice finally catch up to her, I can't say I felt bad, not one bit. But here's the thing, people are still talking about it, debating who was right, what makes a community strong, and how much power should ever really be in the hands of one person with a clipboard. So, I gotta ask, if it was your neighborhood, where would you draw the line between protecting your home and going too far? Let me know what you think, because, yeah, that really happened.